thought it was super appropriate to bring my friend, chiropractor, American Ninja Warrior, total rock star. You've spoken with us with nutraMetrix. You've been on our clinical faculty, Dr. Roxanne Edrington out of Texas. Roxanne, I just was telling you how I Zoom way too much, and that probably is not good for my functional fitness, right?
Yeah. No, that is true. Since this pandemic, a lot of people are sitting much more, even kids, our young kids that aren't in school, they're sitting way more than normal. And that adage, what it says is a body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest stays at rest.
Ooh, I haven't heard that in a long time. Tell me though, what, other than that, what do you tell your patients about getting in their fitness?
Well, it's really important for a lot of reasons. One, it's just important because your heart is a muscle, right? It's a big muscle, and you need to work out, do cardiovascular exercises because you want to keep your heart in shape. You don't want to have a weak heart, obviously. But secondly, the reason why it's important because, exercise, fitness, moving around is a better antidepressant than most drug antidepressants. So exercise and fitness and moving around is great for the brain. When you move around, exercise, your brain is getting so much oxygen and nutrition that it just, in a sense, is probably better than anything anyone can do if they're complaining about feeling tired and feeling depressed. So that's the one reason. If they're saying, I'm just tired, well, you know what, you need to exercise. I'm too tired to exercise. Well, you know what, if you start moving, again, I talk about the body in, motion stays in motion. When you start moving, you're going to start feeling so good. Besides the endorphins that you make, you're also going to be helping with your depression and, the fatigue that you have. But for my older patients, more importantly, I talk about moving, I talk about fitness, I talk about exercise. When I say exercise, it could be throwing around some weights. It could even be with your kids doing something where you're doing resistance kind of exercise along with cardiovascular exercise, because it's anti-aging. Because when we age, our muscle mass goes down, our strength goes down, our aerobic respiration goes down, our fat goes up, our good cholesterol goes down, our bad cholesterol goes up. I mean, all these things are going to happen as we age. Tufts University did this study on anti-aging, and there's all these milestones that will happen as we age. And I know they're going to happen to me as well. But what I'm trying to do is compress those things happening when I'm 90 or 100. I see a lot of people come in my office right now. They're like 40 and 50, and they're already showing all these milestones of aging. So what is the biggest thing that someone can do to slow down these biomarkers or these milestones from happening? Exercise. Because when you exercise, you maintain muscle, you increase strength, you lose, body fat, your good cholesterol goes up, your bad cholesterol goes down. I mean, on and on. So because I guess from my lifestyle, when my patients come in, they know I'm going to talk about that because I know how good I feel. And we discussed this. I'm going to be 55 next week. I feel great at 55. And it's really sad when I see 32-year-olds coming in and talking about how tired and fatigued they are. And so genetically, I am not, some people say, well, it's your genetics. Well, I've done genetic tests. My obesity index is 8.9. I should be obese. I also have that never full gene. I mean, I have genetically, I am a mess, and I am supposed to be obese, morbidly obese, and I'm supposed to be diabetic. But because I move around, because my eating is good, I'm not trying to, increase my blood sugar. My blood sugar stays balanced throughout the day. I have silenced my bad genes, and I've expressed more of the healthy genes, and everybody can do that.
Everyone totally can. Yes, yes, yes. And thank you for so many of those things. Because I do know, like the other day, I just got in a funk, a bad mood, and I put on some music and I went for a power walk up and down the hills, and I felt so much better. I came back in such a better mood. I actually then picked up my 25-pound child, which is my favorite weight, lifted him over my head a couple times to some more music with the kids. I wear this Aura ring. It tracks my fitness and activity. And it buzzed me and said, like, did you do a huge physical activity? I'm like, I'm just playing around with my kids in the living room. But there's a lot of times, though, Dr. Roxanne, that I'm just feeling like at the end of the day, though, I have that Zoom fatigue, and I just am like, I didn't get enough sleep because I have 3 little kids that keep me up some nights. How do then you get motivated? What are your best motivation tips?
Well, the first thing is, you have to have a why, meaning that for me, I think, and I tell all my patients to do this, I always, and anyone who's followed me or knows anything about me, the question most people ask me when they haven't seen me in a while is, so now what are you doing? Now what are you working on? And for me, I always sign up for something, right? Like a long time ago, my brother died. He died of a heart attack at 53. I was 43. At that moment, a light went on in my head, like, you know what, you need to do something. Like, this is your genetics. We have the exact same build. And I started signing up for stuff. The first thing I signed up for was, that's when MS 150 was starting its practice rides. And I signed up to I just did 10-mile bike ride. And then I got to where I went, and because I'm signing up for these rides, it's motivating me at the end of the day. I need to get on. I also have a stationary bike. I need to get on my bike because that's going to really suck if I go try to do a 40-mile ride and I haven't like worked up to that. So some people, I tell a lot of my patients, let's do a 5K, even if you're walking. Let that be our first goal. So what that does is, even though they're tired, they come home and like, man, that 5K, that's a 3.1 mile walk or jog, whatever you want to do. Even when they're tired, they're like, but you know what? I can at least walk a half a mile, or I can at least walk a mile when I get home real quick. So if you're dangling that why, it keeps motivating you because you need to train in order to, hit that benchmark. And then after a while, they start jog walking, and then it becomes competitive. Like maybe the first 5K, it took them, I don't know, an hour. Then now they're like, maybe I can do it next time in 45 minutes. Or so that becomes their carrots. And that's their why. That's the start. And then I start watching them. It's crazy. I had someone that just never did anything, did a 5K, then decided to do a 10K, and then decided to do these small bike rides. And next thing I knew it, she was doing like a small triathlon. So it's just these, like me with Ninja, I keep competing every year in Ninja. And so my why is, there's many times I don't feel like doing Ninja training. That sounds terrible because it takes a lot of energy. But I have a competition coming up. So I got to train and I have to stay prepared for that competition. Now, there was a time when I didn't have anything coming up for 6 weeks, and I saw it in myself, and anybody who knows me would never believe this, but I would come home from work and I'm like, I'm tired. You know what? Nothing's coming up. I don't have to work out today. You know what? It's just nice to sit here and do nothing. But then it started becoming not just 1 day, then 2 days, then 3 days. And then it was hard to start back up again. So what did I do? I found a Ninja competition that was just, it was in Austin, and it wasn't even going to help me because I already made it to where I needed to go. But I was like, I'm just going to do this thing for the fun of it because I need that motivation. And everyone can find something.
You crack me up. But it's just like, when we talk about business building and like, let's build challenge to challenge and find a local challenge and your regional challenge and the international. I mean, and you seem like you're a really competitive person, which we in our, nutraMetrix, our professional services division, do tend to attract very competitive people like yourself, both on the health professional side and the consultant side. But help me out a little bit. So I have 5 family members that are all doing 75 hard right now. So maybe this month I'll get some of them on board. So they're doing, amongst other things, nutrition wise and personal development wise, they're doing 2 workouts a day for 45 minutes each. They have to be a sequential 45 minutes. You can't do 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. One has to be outside, which here in New England, they started when it was really cold and it was snowing, kind of hailing yesterday, and they're outside for 45 minutes. And I was driving and I saw my sister who's doing one. And I'm like, why are you walking here? She goes, well, I've been doing the same walk every day, and I guess I'm 10 minutes earlier than I typically am. So her route that she mapped out for 45 minutes has now gotten a little longer. But so tell me a little bit about what are those metrics and markers that make it so it's not just movement, but truly fitness? What should we pay attention to?
Right. So when we, exercise is movement, but not all movement is exercise,
Mm.
right? So that's an important concept, because I have a lot of patients that come in here and say, well, I move around all day. I'm on my feet. I'm on and off because I walk from one side of the building to the other side. And basically I say those are sporadic movements. But exercise or fitness is when you're doing something for, 10, 15, 20 minutes straight, meaning that you're not just getting up off your desk to grab something and sitting back down. So one of the things that I do is, well, first I tell all of my patients to do the pedometer. People do at least 10,000 steps. That's a start. But I also have this worksheet that I give them where I say, one, I want to know what your resting heart rate is first thing when you get up in the morning. And the reason why that's important is because if they're truly sick, or if they're truly overtrained, or if they're truly stressed, have a lot of stress, their resting heart rate is going to elevate. So mine is normally 48. If I wake up in the morning and I see mine is at 52, I absolutely know that I need to make this an easy day. Now, if I wake up in the morning and I'm exhausted and I'm like, I am not going to exercise, but I see my resting heart rate is 48, then I know I'm just being a baby and I need to put my big girl panties on and I need to just push through it, because there's nothing wrong with me. It's more of a mindset. So that's one of the things that I follow, because it doesn't do any good if you're super tired and your heart rate's higher than normal and you push through that exercise. Now you're creating more stress, making more cortisol. And a lot of these people tend to not lose weight because now they're getting this belly fat from pushing themselves beyond what they need to push themselves. So I really like that resting heart rate measurement every morning, because that's a good sign to tell you, are you just being lazy, or are you truly, is your body really trying to tell you something? And then the next thing I look at is, what was my heart rate during that time that I was doing that movement? So some people might just do 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I always say at least try to do 10 minutes. Some people do 10 minutes 3 times a day. If you're someone who's been exercising for a while, some people do 30 minutes in the morning and maybe 30 minutes in the afternoon. Other people might do just 45 minutes at one time. But I also tell them, look at your heart rate during your exercise. There's all kinds of formulas, and this is probably the easiest formula, and it comes about the same as the other formulas that you'll hear. I made it really easy just because it's easier to remember. I always say, keep your heart rate when you're doing exercise, not movement. Your heart rate needs to be 180 minus your age. So say someone's 50 years old. That means their heart rate during this movement needs to be at least 130. If they're at 120, if they're at 150, too low is not good and too high is not good, because that is the range that you need to be. So that's one of the metrics I tell people. 180 minus your age. Now you're getting right where you need to be. And that's, again, the difference between movement and exercise is getting your heart rate to that certain point and trying to maintain it for 10 minutes. And then also I really make them, I want to know how much they're stretching. Flexibility is a part of fitness. You can be I always say, a meathead, have all this muscle and all this stuff. But if you don't have the flexibility as you get older, your muscles are the belly of your muscle, it shortens. And now you're going to start having all kinds of tendonitis, and you're pulling, having little micro tears on your tendons and ligaments. And that's not good. So stretching, flexibility is super important. And you don't have to do a lot. I always say, after your muscles are really warm, and then you need to stretch. Don't stretch cold. Don't get up and start stretching. A lot of injuries happen that way because the muscles are still kind of stiff. And when you try to stretch them, they can tear. So make sure for at least, 5 to 10, I always pretty much stretch after my workouts when my muscles are warm. And then the other thing, when you're stretching, I say, do deep breathing exercises. That's an important metrics for me. Deep breathe, sit there, take breath in, oxygen in, because that's really good. Not only just to de-stress, but also that's important because now you're making sure you're getting oxygen and nutrients to your muscles. So those are the main metrics that I use, in a sense of when I call it the dashboard for exercise. When people are, because now you know the difference between movement and fitness. Are you moving? Are you really exercising? By what your heart rate was.
I knew you're going to have a good answer for that. And I hope people put in the chat and just say which of those, because it's hard. It feels overwhelming, even just listening to you. And I'm like these past couple months, I've just been extra busy on the computer. This whole year has been really different for me in terms of how I work and how I show up every day. And So I'm definitely a little out of balance with some of those. I think I've been doing really great with my breathing, not so good with my stretching. And I'm going to
Yeah.
put on some of my heart rate monitors and just like check in with myself on
Yeah.
those. But, you know, just to say,
And I tell you,
yeah.
no, and I was going to say one other thing, and to you, telling you, I always tell people when you feel like the way you feel, don't put a time limit on. Don't tell yourself you have to exercise for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. I always tell people, you know what? Do it for 5 minutes. If in 5 minutes you don't feel refreshed and you want to keep going, then stop. Then just stop. And that helps people, because I do that sometimes. I get up in the morning and jump on my Peloton. Every morning I'm like, ugh, I'd rather sleep instead of do this. And then when I get up, I'm like, you know what? And it's happened. Well, it's happened twice where I got up and after 5-6 minutes on the Peloton, I still felt exhausted. I climbed off the Peloton. I was like, well, not today. So know you have an out. So just try 5 minutes. And then what happens? Your brain becomes alive and then you're so glad you did it. So that might be a way for you to get unstuck.
I love that. I'm Sarah Tugs on the Peloton, so you'll have to send me your name.
Oh, okay.
We know each other.
Okay.
Super fun. I also do that. Some of those workouts, I'm like, oh, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. And then I got the little kids that try to climb over and like touch the wheels. And I'm like, oh boy, this is totally getting in the way. We're all going outside and Mama's just going to bring a set of free weights outside with her. So that is phenomenal. So how about nutrition wise? Let's end with this. Like, are there any nutrients, foods, hacks, supplements, anything that helps contribute to fitness to make it more attainable?
Well, you know, anytime you're pushing yourself in fitness, your body needs way more nutrients, because it's almost a form, you know, exercise is a stress. It's a stressor on your body. So when you're putting that stress on your body, you need 10 times more nutrients. So definitely multivitamin, B complex. Fish oil is really good because it's good for, you know, the inflammation that you might be having because your tendons and ligaments getting used to increasing that. Branched chain amino acids are good. A lot of times people, I mean, there's, again, because their nutrition isn't so good, and it even could be because cardiovascularly, they're not in a good place. Branched chain amino acids are really, I typically will do them after my workout because they help you recover faster. So, you know, that's important. CLA, you know, CLA is really good because it helps you burn fat. So there's times where I run out of it. And then I think to myself, you know what? I feel like I'm getting something on my belly. And then, and then I start taking it. And then all of a sudden it starts coming off again. And I'm thinking, why do I forget? But little things like CLA, it helps burn fat, especially in the stubborn areas. That's a great thing. And for people that don't like to take pills, the isotonics, that little package, that's easy. No one has any excuse. There's no excuse at all. That is like so easy. And I have a lot of my bariatric patients, I have them do that twice a day because they're getting zero nutrients and they're trying to exercise. So in times that, you know, exercise is good for you, but it's also a stressor. So you need 10 times more nutrients. So if you want to recover from your exercises and not feel terrible and not feel, sometimes people start exercising, they can't move. These are the things you need to do. Make sure you're taking those nutrients. Take branched chain amino acids. I mean, drink your water. I mean, all these things are important because if you're not drinking water, and you need to be drinking, like I weigh 120 pounds or 118 pounds. I need to be drinking at least 60 ounces a day. So you take your weight, divide by 2. If you're sweating, you know, because of exercise, then you need to up that. But I should at least be doing 60 ounces a day. And that's important because that's going to help dump out like some of the lactic acid and some of the inflammatory mediators you're going to be making when you exercise. So all these things are super important. And you have to look at yourself as being in a stress situation when you start exercising and just support your system.
Oh, this is awesome. I don't know if people realize how fortunate they are because I've heard you lecture and say these things, you know, to a very small audience. So the fact that we can hit share and send these to someone else, you know, spring is in the air. I know where you live, you're way more south than I am. So you have an outdoor activities more so, you know, we're just kind of getting outside here in the Northeast and very excited about it. And, you know, so thinking about these things because there's definitely ways that you don't want to, you know, hurt yourself. I thought those are some great stretching tips. You want to make sure you're supporting your body. Thank you for reminding us about hydration. As again, we're outside, it gets a little warmer. We're all a little sweatier, hopefully, if we're moving around. And think this was just phenomenal. And I really appreciate how both nutraMetrix and the Health and Nutrition Division of Market America, can really support providers
Yes.
like you too for those add-ons, those little reminders for your patients too. So,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
have you
And I
asked?
just want to add one more thing, that when you're exercising, you also need to increase your antioxidants.
Yes.
So that's real important too. Besides just the vitamins, antioxidants are also super, super important. And I like
What's
the
your
OPC3. OPC3.
OPC?
Why I like that is just because I feel I don't hurt, like that's to help my tendons more than anything. I do that twice a day. But I mean, there's so many other stuff, but I like those three different antioxidants in that. And that's just and a lot of my patients like it too. My CrossFitters, they live on that stuff. They really like it.
Nice. It doesn't just have to be in the office. It can be your friends in the gym too. So, Dr. Roxanne, have you exercised yet today, or are you doing that later?
I have not today because I realized when I woke up this morning, my food was gone. Someone ate my food in the refrigerator, so I had to meal prep. So I was making my turkey patties, my brown rice. I was making my broccoli, and while I was making my breakfast. But I'm going to do that as soon as I get home. It is 72 degrees here, sunny. So when I get home, I'm either going to run or do something outside.
Oh, I wish I was closer. I would go for a run with you, and I'd bring you some of my food. But I have some people that eat food in my fridge too. So I'm
Yes.
like, where did that go that I made for myself?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
again, Dr. Roxanne, thank you so much for your time here today. We really appreciate you. And
No
everyone,
problem.
move
Thank
in.
you.